Every second, millions of photos are uploaded. Opinions are shared before they're fully formed. Moments are packaged, filtered, and released into the world almost instantly. We live in the loudest era in human history, an era where attention is currency and visibility feels like proof of existence. If something isn't posted, did it even happen? And yet, most people are silent. They scroll, they observe, they absorb. No status updates, no hot takes, no public timelines of their inner lives. In a culture that rewards constant expression, this silence feels almost suspicious. So who are they, and what do they understand that the rest of the internet seems to have forgotten? Psychologists have a name for this group. They're often called lurkers. Decades of research on online communities show a consistent pattern. The majority of users consume content without producing it. A small percentage generates most posts, comments, and visible activity. The rest remain quiet but present. This silent majority exists in nearly every digital space. And importantly, silence here is a choice, not an absence. To understand them, we need to move past assumptions. One of the most consistent psychological traits linked to non-posting behavior is heightened observational orientation. Some individuals naturally engage with the world by watching patterns rather than inserting themselves into them. Cognitive psychology describes this as information-first processing, where they prioritize understanding before expression because posting online demands speed, quick reactions, and immediate opinions. Silent users often resist this pace. They engage in reflective cognition, slower, deeper thinking that values accuracy over immediacy. Research shows that reflective thinkers are less likely to respond impulsively and more likely to delay expression until meaning is fully formed. In other words, they are not disengaged, they are mentally active. Another core factor is emotional regulation. Studies consistently link frequent posting with emotional arousal, sharing when excited, upset, validated, or seeking reassurance. Silence, by contrast, often reflects emotional containment. This doesn't mean silent users feel less. It means they process internally rather than externally. Psychology distinguishes between external validation to needing feedback to regulate self-worth, and internal validation, where emotional stability comes from within. People who post less are more likely to rely on internal regulation. Their moods are not stabilized by likes, comments, or views. No dopamine spikes, no algorithmic reassurance. Their emotional world is quieter, but steadier. There's also the issue of cognitive load. Every post carries invisible mental costs. Self-presentation theory shows that managing how others perceive us requires constant monitoring of tone, image, timing, and audience reaction. Over time, this creates what researchers call identity fatigue. Non-posters opt out of this loop. They don't fragment their attention between living an experience and narrating it. They aren't editing themselves in real time. Their cognitive energy stays intact. Introversion is often mentioned here, but it's only part of the explanation. Yes, introverts statistically post less, but silence online is not social withdrawal. Many silent users are articulate, confident, and expressive offline. The difference lies in selectivity. Psychological research shows that some people value depth over breadth. They choose meaningful exchange over public broadcasting, a private conversation instead of a public declaration, a lived moment instead of a documented one. Their silence isn't disconnection, it's intentional focus. Another crucial factor is risk perception. Once something is posted, it becomes permanent, searchable, context-free, and open to reinterpretation. Studies on digital privacy awareness show that people who post less are more conscious of long-term consequences. They understand that identity, once externalized, can be frozen, misread, or used out of context. So silence becomes a form of autonomy, not fear, but foresight. They're thinking beyond the present moment. Now we reach the deeper layer. What does this silence reveal about how they see life? Psychology draws a sharp distinction between intrinsic and extrinsic motivation. When behavior is driven by external rewards like attention, recognition, and approval, meaning slowly erodes. Silent observers are more likely to orient toward intrinsic experience. They value how something feels over how it appears, what it changes inside them, not how it performs outside them. Joy without witnesses, growth without announcements, change without applause. They also understand something uncomfortable about attention. Attention is finite. Studies on attention and mindfulness show that constant outward engagement fragments memory, emotional processing, and self-awareness. When every moment is shared, fewer moments are truly integrated. Silence protects coherence. It allows thoughts to finish forming, emotions to settle fully, identity to evolve without interruption. And there's one more understanding, perhaps the most important. Not everything meaningful benefits from being shared. Developmental psychology shows that mature identity forms through internal narrative, not public storytelling. A stable sense of self is built through continuity, reflection, and private meaning-making. The silent majority builds their story off-camera. No audience, no metrics, no performance. So let's reframe the silence. Non-posters are not missing out. They are not passive. They are not behind. They are the stabilizing counterweight to digital noise. In a system driven by amplification, they absorb. In a culture of performance, they remain grounded. Their silence is not emptiness. It is presence without display. And now, a question worth sitting with. In a world that constantly asks you to speak, to share, and to signal, what would happen if you didn't? Are you posting to express or posting to confirm that you exist? What does your silence know that your feed does not?